Hi, this is Teddy Burriss, your LinkedIn Sales Navigator Strategist. And I got asked this question just now. Teddy, how do I figure out what are the best keywords and phrases to use in my LinkedIn profile and my LinkedIn content? And I have a few ideas I'm going to share with you in this video, but before I do yourself a favor and hit that subscribe and notify button because I create these videos specifically for you. So here's my ideas. I wrote down about 6 different bullet points to help me format this conversation for you. Number 1, start writing a list of keywords and phrases that are important to your target audience and relevant to what you do for them. Now, you're going to have to do a little research to figure out what these are. Maybe you know some of them yourself, but you're going to have to figure out some of these different phrases and words that you should be using. And the best way to figure it out is go have a conversation with your ideal client, your target audience. Look at your peers who do exactly what you do and see what kind of words and phrases they use in their content, on their website, on their LinkedIn profile. But you want to start building a really big list, 20, 30, 40, 50 different keywords and phrases. And I'm a big fan of writing them on a whiteboard. Just start scribbling them on a whiteboard and you know, put them all out there in front of you so your mind can look at them and you can ponder them as you're writing them. But build a big list is step number one. Step 2 would be to take those keywords and phrases and go do a search in Google and in LinkedIn. And look for people in LinkedIn, look for posts in LinkedIn, look for companies in LinkedIn, and see how relevant the results are of the search for those phrases. How relevant are those results to who you are and what you do? Same thing on Google. Do a Google search for those words and look at their Google results and see how relevant those results are to you and what you do. And the more relevant those results are, both in LinkedIn and in Google search or Bing or Yahoo or whatever you use, then you're going to rank those keywords higher than other keywords that you think are important that just don't show up relevant to you and what you do for your target audience. So do that research after you built that list and see how relevant those phrases are, again, to you, what you do, and to your target audience. Here's the next thing. Go to Google Trends and start putting some of those keywords or key phrases into Google Trends and see how they rank in Google search trends. The phrases that are used a lot will rank a lot higher than the phrases that are not used much at all. Now, don't discount the ones that don't show up comparable to others. But if you found a group of keywords and key phrases that are really relevant to you and you find some that rank much higher in Google Trends, then you're probably going to want to use those keywords and phrases more often than the other ones. I'll share with you, for me, I did this Google Trends analysis. LinkedIn Training ranks much higher than LinkedIn Trainer. But I have to use both because I've discovered that my target audience uses both of them interchangeably on LinkedIn and in Google search. So again, don't discount the ones that don't rank as high, but maybe you're going to want to use the ones that rank higher more often. Here's the next thing. So once you've built your list, you've done your research, you've done your Google Trends analysis, take the top 10 keywords and phrases that you discover that are highly relevant to who you are, what you do, and your target audience. And then look and see if you can tell a story. Look at each keyword or phrase and see if there's a story you can tell about what you've done, what you can do, what you enjoy doing using those phrases. And start collecting those stories because you're going to want to use those stories, again, probably throughout your LinkedIn profile, and it could be stories you use in your LinkedIn content. So start writing those stories now. Most important reason to start writing those stories now is to validate that you have stories relevant to those phrases, and it's not some new phrase that you've never thought about or considered, and you don't have a story for it. You need to have a story for any phrase that you come up with. Now you've got your top 10, you've done your research, you've got your stories, then go back to your LinkedIn profile and start thinking about, do I put these stories in my About section? Do I put these stories in my experience section using these keywords and phrases? Do I put these stories maybe in publications or in featured content? Start thinking about where you're going to use those stories that use those keywords and phrases throughout your LinkedIn profile. And you'll also start putting together a list of the content you'll create. Maybe you'll create a video. Maybe you'll create a meme. Maybe you'll create a LinkedIn article or just simply a post. Maybe you'll create a blog post. Again, using those keywords and phrases that are relevant and important to your target audience in context to what you do for them. But start with your LinkedIn profile and make sure you're using those stories and those keyword phrases throughout your profile where relevant and appropriate. Here's my last point about what keywords and phrases should I use. Do research continually. At the very least, twice a year, look and see what phrases and terms you're using. Look and see what messaging you're giving. Look and see what stories you're telling, and are they still relevant? I'll tell you from me firsthand that I learned early on that, again, I thought LinkedIn trainer was my most important keyword and phrase. Well, I discovered later in the year that LinkedIn training was important. The sales navigator training was important. So I made a pivot and started using those phrases more often, and I started getting more of the right people looking at my profile. I made a pivot and started talking about sales leaders and sales managers and regional sales managers and regional sales leaders instead of business professionals and sales people. And I noticed that using the right keywords relevant to who I serve and what I do to serve them made a big change in the number of LinkedIn profile views, how often I showed up in LinkedIn searches, and how often people paid attention to my content. So you can't just pick your phrases and stick them in there. You've got to do research throughout ongoing, make sure those phrases haven't changed, new terms haven't come up, so you can make sure that you're staying relevant to the phrases that people are using when they're thinking of you and looking for you. Keywords, key phrases are not the only answer to making a LinkedIn profile or LinkedIn content meaningful, relevant, but it does both. But they do play a big role, and it's worth understanding and using appropriately. Hey, I'm Teddy, your LinkedIn and Sales Navigator strategist, trainer, and coach, and I hope this is helpful for you.